Hey, welcome back. In today's episode, I would like to run through the essential cryptocurrency wallet security tips. As the popularity of cryptocurrencies continue to rise, it's important to take the necessary steps to protect your digital assets. So I've created a very short presentation which will cover through, what are the top 10 security tips to ensure your investments are indeed kept safe from potential threats. So let's dive in and learn how to keep your crypto secure. Okay, well, before we actually kick off, I like to just set the ground running on what is the cryptocurrency wallet. You might have heard several definitions out there, but really it's none other than a digital tool for actually storing, sending, and receiving digital currencies. They act as a virtual bank account for cryptocurrencies and provides a unique address to receive funds and a private key with which to access and indeed transact with those crypto funds that you have in your wallet. Right, so it's really broken down into two types. Software wallets, there's different flavors. So you have desktop wallets, which are really used on computers, so they're installed on computers. They have reasonable high security and it's for local storage. You got the mobile wallets, which you're probably more familiar with. They're actually installed on your smartphones. They are indeed very convenient because you can travel with them, and they have a moderate level of security. And then finally, you've got the web wallets, which can be accessed through the web browsers, like MetaMask is probably the most classical one. But be wary because they are less secure and indeed used for remote storage. And then finally, hardware wallets. This is my personal favorite. They are nano-like USB sticks. They're physical devices, and they're used for offline storage of your cryptos. And they offer the greatest and highest level of security if you compare with the software wallets mentioned in the above. What is so important? Why do we have to take extra precaution of protecting our cryptocurrency wallet security? Well, it's no different from having security for your house keys or for your bank accounts. They're all used as measures to protect against hacking, phishing, and malware. Now, this is actually a growing trend and a concern for most authorities, where we're seeing a lot of people being subjected to these type of attacks. And they don't necessarily have to be limited to the elderly. It happens to the most affluent user of the internet and cryptos. So you've got to be very, very careful. It is also used to prevent loss or theft of digital assets. And by having these measures is to ensure that financial stability and above all, peace of mind. Now, moving on to the risk associated with these crypto wallets. Okay, so you got the risk, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the hacking attacks. Those attacks are really about unauthorized access, through some sophisticated level of techniques, whether it's social engineering. You've got to be very, very careful because they're very, very well equipped, very sophisticated, and they are indeed growing in sophistication, these type of hacking attacks. They're not usually things like computer-aided attacks. It's just mostly are to do with social engineering attacks. So be very, very careful. Equally, things on phishing attempts. So you've seen or might have seen receiving a lot of emails that are deceptive or from websites that may be very obscure and dodgy websites that can easily steal your credentials at the click of the link. Be mindful because they usually are target for harvesting your credentials for your wallets, or indeed for everything else, whether it's credentials for access to your bank accounts. It's exactly the same technique used for hacking into your crypto wallets. And then lastly, malware infections. So you've got the malicious software compromising the wallet integrity. The classical countermeasure for this type of incidences is to keep your wallets, your hardware wallets particularly, and software wallets, if it's on a mobile phone for instance, always up to date with the latest updates. But we'll talk about this later on. Now, moving into what are the consequences of poor wallet security? Well, you could be a target of losing your funds. So when you send out a transaction to another person, if you send it to the wrong address, or indeed if you use the different network for the crypto that you're transacting with. So let's say if you're sending Bitcoin or an Ethereum crypto on a non-Ethereum compatible network, it's not just the fact that you may be using a different address. You may be using the wrong blockchain network to perform that transaction. and also the financial and emotional impact, and then the reputational damage. Let's run through the 10 security measures for wallets. So you need to use very, high, strong and unique passwords. So you got to forget about using your birthdays or your place of birth, and always use, uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, symbols. I use a combination of these type of characters when you're constructing those unique passwords. Avoid common passwords, and try to avoid particularly reusing the same password when you've been asked to change. And above all, it's something that I've been using quite a lot, is use a password vault manager. Now I use NordPass, but there are other password vault software that you can have installed in your smartphones. And that's usually the best practice, to have all of your application credentials and passwords stored on that password vault. That's usually industry standard to managing and safeguarding, including your crypto hardware wallets. The next security measure is really popular, is enabling your two-factor authentication. So this is not just limited to using your passwords to access your crypto wallets. It's an extra layer on top that provides that extra layer of security. And usually the methods for two-factor authentication could be sending temporary SMS codes to your mobile phone, or using authenticator apps on your mobile phones. Now, this security measure is very useful for malware infections on your crypto wallet devices. So the best mitigation for that is to indeed keep your software up to date. Usually they post notifications. There may be latest security patches and features for you to install. Highly recommended to always regularly check for those updates and have them installed as soon as possible on your crypto wallet. And also they usually have a feature to enable the automatic updates to be installed. So that's a useful feature to have. Moving on to the need to have your wallet regularly backed up. That's true. I mean, there's people that usually have cloned hardware wallets, particularly have secondary hardware wallets for the cryptos that are kept in the first crypto wallet. This is usually a recommended measure to have, or you could indeed use external hard drives or private cloud storage. I'm a bit worried about cloud storage. I would personally use an external hard drive that is under your control, and you may want to keep it backed up in an off-site location, not in your home. Have it always regularly tested and backed up. That's the message here. Now, for me, as I said, there's two types. You've got hardware and software wallets. I tend to use now hardware wallets for the storage of all of my crypto tokens, Bitcoins, Ethereum, what have you, because they offer the highest level of security. Now, I personally have a Ledger Nano device. You may have heard of Trezor, Trezor. That's another highly popular manufacturer of hardware wallets. Either of the two are recommended, but obviously you have to do your own research, and you need to do, once you've done the research, you need to choose the most reputable hardware wallet that best serves your needs. Obviously, when you're trying to access your crypto wallet funds, you always need to avoid using public Wi-Fi networks, because public Wi-Fi lacks security by default. And if you need to use your wallets or access your wallets, or to be able to transact your cryptos through your wallets, you need to use a VPN, like a virtual private network. It's a software that you can have installed in your smartphone. All you need to do is just enable it or switch it on before you actually access your crypto funds on your wallet. The next one is do not share wallet information. Now, hardware wallets or software wallets, crypto wallets are governed by private keys. Without your keys, you cannot access your cryptos. So very important information. So usually wallets comprise of private keys, which is just a series of seed phrases, maybe up to 12 or 24. So whenever you set up these crypto wallets, you have either of those two types, 12 or 24 seed phrases or keys, and they're used as recovery phrases. So in the case of losing your hardware wallet or software wallet, and you need to be able to recover that, you'll be asked to provide those seed phrases. And so it's very important to have that information in a very, very secure location. Password Vault Manager is one area, and maybe in an off-site securely encrypted hardware device could be another option as well. Recovery phrases and login credentials information needs to be kept confidential whenever you need to access your crypto wallets. Be very cautious of phishing and social engineering attacks, as I mentioned earlier on.
One other thing is very important that you need to do whenever you perform a transaction of your cryptos from one address, from your wallet address to a third-party address. You need to be very careful how you do it. Make sure you use the right blockchain network. That's the first thing. And also the address to which you're sending those cryptos via that blockchain network. And you need to also monitor, right? Once you've done the transaction, what I tend to do is I use blockchain.com as a resource, or your app, your crypto wallet app, to monitor for how well the transaction has gone through. There's usually a small lead time depending on the crypto you're transacting with, and you can also set up transaction alerts and notifications. And then finally, as another growing measure, it's not widely known but it's starting to ramp out, is what we call multi-signature transactions. Now, this really requires multiple approvals in the chain for performing transactions. For me personally, I find it a bit an overkill. It's just started out. It's just the latest security technique to safeguard the integrity of your transactions, of your cryptos. It certainly provides another layer of security, but like I said, it's just something that just came out, and I think it's still being worked on. So watch this space, because I'm confident that in the future that this is going to actually work out fairly well. So as a wrap up, by following these security tips, it helps reduce the risk of unauthorized access to your crypto wallet funds and tokens. You need to obviously stay informed about the latest security practices, particularly those updates on your hardware wallets or software wallets. So whenever they become available, please accept those installations. And lastly, consider starting with a hardware wallet for enhanced security. Like I said, this is something that is highly recommended because they offer the highest level of security, and ultimately it's a peace of mind. And one final note that I haven't put on here is you need to worry about including these sort of phrases or security keys in your will and testament. We always have to think ahead of our future legacy and needs, right? People take it for granted, but I'm actually putting the confidential information in a highly secure will and testament. So if anything were to happen to me, the keys will be lost, which will mean my future heirs will not have access to my cryptos. Will and testament is something you should consider at the very beginning. Once you have your hardware wallets installed and managed and properly under your control, the next step would be include this information in your will and testament, just to make sure you're safeguarding the future legacy of your cryptos, because they're going to appreciate over time fairly, very rapidly, and that needs to be taken into consideration. So hopefully you found this tutorial useful, and if you have, please don't forget to hit the like button on this video, and please subscribe to this channel as I regularly post some interesting news and educational content to you investors out there. So until next time.